So when you want to take into account several variables, and in a large sample of whatever you are trying to analyze, then analytics become very helpful for you.
I think that data analytics is a major, let's say, subject that any company needs to face right now, because thanks to the evolution of the internet itself, and thanks to the evolution of the digital assets and transformation that we are facing right now, they are here as a tool that will help you understand your customer. You are able to be closer to your customer now more than you were before.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Epiphany Off the Cuff. My name is Rick Meekins. I'm going to be your host today, and I've got two amazing guests you're really going to want to hear a lot about and a lot from. We have Ingrid Ahumada, who used to be my co-host. She was amazing. And we have Louis, how do you pronounce your last name?
Almanza.
Thank you. Louis Almanza today.
That's
These
right.
two people have taught me so much about the value of data. I guess over the past year or so, we've had a number of conversations about it, going back and forth, and I really think it's a really important conversation. We see a lot of things going around, a lot of information going around about artificial intelligence and software and digital transformation and that sort of thing. And I think in some ways it's a little bit nebulous for some of us. Some of us don't really fully understand the value of it and, how we can use it to leverage our business. So that's the conversation I want to have today. Ingrid, can you start out, just introduce yourself, give us a little bit of your background, your education, and where you've been in the world?
Of course, Rick. Thank you so much for the invitation. I guess I would need like a formal intro because I haven't been here for 10 months from now.
Yes.
So it's really, really good to be back. I was just reminding our first episode that I was so nervous and I was like relating all my story, and you were also telling all your background and everything, and that was certainly a very, very good one episode.
Oh, yeah.
So,
absolutely.
So I was just reminding that, and thank you again for the invitation. Well, my background is 100% in business, and 3 or 4 years from now, like in 2017, I started to work in the digital environment. It's funny because I just started working remote at that time. And I started in Upwork, as a freelancer, but I started because I got fired from my job. Mm-hmm. So I thank you so much, that company, for firing me at that time because I started this path. So at that time I started like a project manager. Then from that time to now, I've been working in digital environments and in technology. Since 2019, I started working on projects on data analytics, like in business intelligence at that moment, and then from 1 year to now, data analytics. And I've been working with Luis for Luis, 3 years?
Yeah.
In this path. So I definitely enjoy the mix, let's say, all the combination of using data analytics and using these type of technologies for the growth of business. I mean, that's completely my passion and my focus right now. I guess that we will be having the chance to expand more about that.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, that was actually I think that was that first episode we did. I think that was the most downloaded episode that we've done
Really?
so far. Yep. It's a great chart.
And that was about entrepreneurship.
Was that?
That was about entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it was absolutely. Louis, share with us a little bit about your background and your philosophy and that sort of thing.
Okay. Thank you, Rick. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
My background is a little bit similar to Ingrid's background. My background.
And you got fired too?
Oh yeah. Well, no, I quit, but I mean, it was a matter of time before I was gonna get fired from that job. Anyways, but let me get to that point.
That's
okay,
funny.
so my background is also in business, very focused in finance. And within finance, my main focus was analytics.
Mm-hmm.
The analytics, they all geared towards finance. So I was always like the financial analyst of large companies, large multinational companies. It's from my first job. Well, my first job was in the stock market here in Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
I was working with the stock market, but I also had to do some operations with the American stock market. And then from then on, all my work experience was around analytics in finance. But then, as I was reaching higher jobs, higher positions in the companies I was working with, I started to notice a very big problem with most companies. That is that handling data is very tough. It's very tough, especially with traditional tools.
Yeah.
And as a financial analyst, and then the senior financial analyst, and then coordinating a whole complete team of analysts, and then being the financial director of a large company here, I grew to be like thinking about data as a hassle, as an inconvenience, that it was hard to get the data you needed to work with it, and to get the right insights to give feedback to the management, to the high management of the company and the shareholders. And then I moved to another company that was even to the last company I worked with, that had even a bigger problem working with data. It was so stressful working with data there that I quit. I just said, this is not life for me, because I love when I have a lot of data to work with, and when the data is not perfect, but that doesn't exist. There's no perfect data. You always have to do something with it. But but I love when I have the data and I can work with it. So that wasn't the case in that company, and then I just decided to quit because it was not a happy place for me. But that being that company the way it was. It what gave me and gave my Ingrid and I and other partners that we have in the company the drive to try to solve this issue, because when we're sitting discussing about this is not just at companies, most companies all over the world. So we decided to create a solution or a company that can help other companies to solve their data issues and data problems. Using various tools, several tools that are available for them. And that is how we got here. Well, we started talking, like you mentioned, a couple of years ago, and we've been having conversations back and forth about how we can expand and make the benefits of analytics available to all companies worldwide.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you both for your introductions. Excuse me. So I guess, my first question is, as I mentioned, there's a lot of information, perhaps misinformation, perhaps there's, people that just don't quite understand, the value of data, like even in smaller companies, you know what I'm saying? And so in a practical way, I mean, how can we, help people understand the value of data, analyzing their data?
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and try to bring it down to earth. Okay, so
and remember, Luis, we're regular humans. So when you start talking about petabytes, bring it down.
I'm going to bring it super down. So let's say you're a retailer. Mm-hmm. You're a retailer, a company that dedicates to buying things and sell them with a premium.
Okay.
So most of retailers have several categories of products and several products that they have to sell. And every day you have to make a decision. Well, several decisions, but I'm going to focus on one decision that you have to make. Okay. How much I'm going to buy of each product that I have in my warehouse. How much I'm going to buy.
Right? How much inventory to purchase?
Inventories. Correct.
Okay.
So you have to find a way of deciding with an objective, being an objective way and a more professional way of deciding how much you're going to buy of each product that you have in your inventory.
Okay.
So how do you do that? So I've seen a lot of ways of people doing it. From the least sophisticated, that is that, hey, I feel like there's a big pile of drywall. So the pile is a little bit big. I think I should order 2 trucks. So
there you go.
It works, and some people do grow with that, although it brings its problems in the near future. But there are some people who works like that. Mm-hmm. And then you have people that are a little bit more inclined to analytics. So what they do is they actually count or have a software where they get their ERP, where they have the actual inventories, and just whenever they hit an inventory stock level, they just make an order, and that is also fine. Mm-hmm. But it might get you. But then here's the question: how do you define where's that line?
Yeah.
So to define where's that line, maybe you can do it by yourself with pen and paper, and using the consumption of these products day by day, right? So if you can sell 10 drywall sheets or plates per day, then mm-hmm. you can almost figure out how much you must have in your inventory, considering the lead time of your supplier, for example.
Yeah.
But what do you do when you have over 1,000 products? Then you cannot do it by hand.
Yeah.
And then what happens when you want to take into account that that product has seasonality, and when you want to take into account the rising or the lowering prices that you have for each product, mm-hmm. and when you also want to take into account the profitability, considering that you have constraints in cash flow, you cannot buy everything. You have to prioritize what are you going to buy. So when you want to take into account several variables, and in a large sample of whatever you are trying to analyze, then analytics become very helpful for you. Very, very helpful. Okay. How can that, Ingrid, maybe you can help us look at this maybe from the perspective of marketing. We see a lot of, like with digital marketing, we see a lot of information. We get, Google Analytics, we get our social media response, we have our pay-per-click, et cetera, et cetera. How does data analytics help us with I guess perhaps investing in that, or I guess perhaps posting in the right place? How can that play for us practically?
Yeah, definitely, Rick. And thank you for that question, because I was just thinking on another reason on why data analytics is so relevant right now. And it comes to that point. And it's that I think that data analytics is a major, let's say, subject that any company needs to face right now, because thanks to the evolution of the internet itself, and thanks to the evolution of the digital assets and transformation that we are facing right now. So thanks to that speed and that rapid evolution that we have faced, is that we now have to handle a lot, let's say, large volumes of data, right? Mm-hmm. And then is that not only with the, let's say, the internal variables, as Luis was mentioned, that any company needs to face, there is now external, variables that on the market that we need to also take into account. So then if we add some of the marketing channels and digital channels that we are now everyone needs to have, then, it becomes larger and larger and larger. So data analytics, what it does is, for me, is that it will help you not only to understand how to make a decision and how to approach any decision on your company, analyzing your own data, but also it helps you to, let's say, locate yourself or have a sense of ubication on how you're going to then give that next step, considering how you're in that large market, right? Okay. So with marketing, digital marketing and all the digital channels, I think they are a blessing. I mean, there's a lot of debate about this because, I think the humans are by nature are like against the change, but I think they are a blessing because they are here as a tool that will help you understand your customer. You are able to be closer to your customer now more than you were before. Because yes, it's difficult. Yes, it has worked. But hey, once you have that click and that you figure out what content to post or what channel are the best for you, then you are this close to your customer. And what these digital tools offer you, I think, is to actually be able to understand what your customer wants instead of let's say imposing or like proposing what you need, what you want to sell. So right now, the trend is moving forward to that. Is to let's listen what people need and want instead of you need to buy me this and let's find out how I need to sell this. No, it's kind of a mix between those two.
To add a little bit on that. Now that you mentioned that, for example, when you're trying to address your audience and you're trying to get them to buy something from you, it is almost offensive now that I, for example, receive an SMS or an email asking me to, or making, or when I receive a promotion or an ad to buy diapers. I mean, I don't have kids, man. Why would you send me a diapers ad or an SMS? And what it tells me about the whoever is sending me that message, that it can be a retailer, a wholesaler, or whatever customer, whatever company I'm buying from, they're telling me is that they don't know me, they don't know enough of me, and they send me whatever they want and not whatever I want. And data analytics can get you to the point where you can have very personalized marketing campaigns that are geared specifically towards whatever the customer wants. For example, for me, it's chocolate. I love chocolate. Whenever anyone offers me chocolate, I'm going to buy it. So, and that is one of the main things that we can do with analytics. With analytics, coupled with cloud computing and everything around it, but analytics as a whole can help you with that.
So what you're saying, in other words, is you begin to understand your customers' buying habits. And by understanding your customers' buying habits, you can market to them almost predictively, based on what their needs are. I think my wife, she gets a notification from Amazon, once a month. Hey, it looks like you're almost out of cat food. It's like,
Yeah.
So I get that. So, exactly. So what I'm hearing from both of you is that, this is something that has become practical even for smaller companies. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
That's awesome. So you were talking, Luis, you were talking about the warehouse situation. You were talking about inventory and, that gut feel. Okay. It's like, okay, well, I think in my gut, I think we're going to sell, blah, blah, blah. So in a practical level, I mean, what would the efficiencies and benefits be of having more accurate data with your inventory, with your warehousing system?
Well, that is a great question, and I think if more people would care about it, many companies would have a better financial situation. As I mentioned, my background is financial, so I always see the things in that from that standpoint. And the main benefit is two-sided. If your inventories, if you buy whatever you need, what you're buying, let's go back to drywall. If you buy drywall sheets and you buy too many, then you're going to have a working capital situation, because you're going to have a lot of money put into inventories that won't go away anytime soon. So if you buy too much, then you're facing with a financial situation associated to working capital. And if you buy too little, then some customers are going to get to your shop, to your store, and they're not going to find the drywall they want to buy. So then you'll come to a situation of back orders or lost sales. both situations are very undesirable for any company.
Yeah.
Any company. I mean, you want to always have the inventory you need to sell to your customers, and you don't want to spend too much money or invest too much money in inventories, because it will strangle you. It will strangle your capacity of investing on or buying the things that you require the most to get the most profitable. Remember, the purpose of managing inventories is not to have a good level of inventories, is to increase your profit. So you have to always have the inventory in the most efficient way, because it's limited. Your stock is limited, and your cash flow is limited as well. So you need to be the most efficient. You have to have the most efficient purchasing and procurement system to ensure that you have the optimal inventory levels.
Wow, that's amazing. That makes total sense. So you end up not tying up your cash in additional inventory. You end up not running out of product, and then losing, revenue opportunities with your customers. Totally makes sense. Ingrid, so, from this conversation, I think we've developed a case, why data analytics makes sense. Where does someone start? You've got a company, been around, 10, 20 years, something like that, doing a lot of stuff, perhaps manually, where do you start? Because it sounds like, it's a very large endeavor. I've got 1,000 pieces of inventory, for example, and when you need to figure out, seasonality, et cetera. I mean, it's intimidating. Where do you start?
Yeah, I think, Rick, this, let's call it like the data-driven path, right? That's the path that any company needs to start, and right away. So I think that to start in this data-driven path, there is going to require, let's say, three main things. The first thing is to understand that we are going to need a change in the company. For sure. And that sounds easy to hear, but it's actually the main constraint and the main block that we have found in every company to adopt a full analytics strategy. Because, as I was saying earlier, humans tends to be, against change. So even if you have the most advanced tool or the state-of-the-art tech or whatever you bought, if you don't understand that you need to use that to actually use the tool or to actually take the decision based on the data that the analytics tool is providing you, then, your money is going to be lost. So I think the first step is to actually understand that there's going to be organizational changes and that there are going to be some processes that can be optimized thanks to the data strategy that you need to implement, right? That would be the main step for me. That step needs to be taken, from the C-level positions or from the, let's say, managers, the management level, and then try to distribute it and to diffuse along the whole company with the rest of the team, right? Because it needs to start from the top. The second, I would say that it's going to require small steps. Before you start, embracing a large investment or considering a large investment, there can be small changes that you can adopt, like a small habit, let's say, to care about your data. So, for example, just the fact that you have a file on your computer that is on your local computer and it's not, let's say, on a cloud or on a common server or in a place where everyone needs to see it, that's one step that if you change it and you move it to a public place within your organization, you are going to have a large impact in your data movement, So the second would be to take care of those small habits that move around, the files and the documents and every company and every document in the company, so operations can run smoothly if you take into account this step. And then
a quick tip, Ingrid, regarding that, small habits. Please stop merging cells in Excel. That's it.
Oh yeah, because that would mess your tables up. Exactly. So for example, to expand more about that, there are going to be some tools, even in Microsoft or Google, that like SharePoint or Google Drive, that you would be able to have, your common archive common to your team. So you can start, if you are the finance leader or the sales leader in your area, you can start just by adopting these within your team. So if you start like moving everyone towards to use those tools and then use common files and use tables formats, those are going to be changes that then when you have a full large analytics tools, it's going to be easier to actually use. Okay. And then the third that I would advise would be to be open to learn. Every role in the organization, from the administrative assistant to the general manager, CEO, analysts, coordinators, any role in any area needs to learn about data analytics. It's not like I'm going to hire a data analytics consultant or we need to open a new area for data analytics. No, it's not like that. Everyone in the organization needs to understand this and needs to at least acquire some kind of skill. So there's a large source of online courses and e-learnings platforms that you can just get a new skill, and then try to understand how within your role, within your position, you can start adopting this type of strategies. So I think I would summarize it in 3 main steps just to start. And then, of course, let's say hard data value. With that, just to end that idea is that once you adopt, now that you understand like what are the main steps for treating data and give the importance to it, then you are ready like to start listening to people that have already worked, in this environment, and that can help you and guide you in the path. Of course, data value would be your best choice, but there's going to be a lot of companies there that are able to at least give you, let's say, like make you closer to that final path.
Sure, for sure. Awesome.
Expanding a little bit also on that. I think nowadays there's expanding because I'm just getting to the point that I assume that the company already did what Ingrid mentioned, that is extremely helpful. You need to have like an internal assessment of what you need and have doing small tweaks, such as the one that Ingrid was mentioning, and stop merging cells, for God's sake. And afterwards, you need to acknowledge that you need help, because implementing data analytics and the complete architecture required to build analytic solutions is not easy, and there are many ways it can go wrong. It's not free. That is no wonder, no surprise that like over 70% of analytics projects have failed in the past. And this is because companies try to do them by themselves without acknowledging that they might not have the know-how to do so. So the best way of implementing any analytics project at the time, I think, is to acknowledge that you need help from outside sources, such as Data Value or other companies, such as Epiphany, that can also help companies to do this. So, but when you are actually looking for help, you need to be very clear about what you need. So you cannot go to, you can do it, but it will go badly for you if you go to a company and tell them, hey, I need analytics in my company, without no understanding on why you need it, and where do you need it specifically. Exactly. So you need to understand, okay, I have an inventory problem. I need to be more efficient with my purchases, with the procurement process. Okay, I want to be more accurate in the way I talk to my audiences in my ads. Okay, I need to. My finance process is way too long. I need to shorten it. I need to understand the sales per each store, or my sales per product, or by customers. I need to understand my a very common one, for example, is that I want to understand my income statement from income up to net profit, down to net profit, per each store, customer, product, line, city. Those are the typical business questions that we answer. Mm-hmm. And we found out that most businesses all need to answer those questions and they have those pain points. Yep. So before asking for help, you need to understand why you're asking for help and what specifically you are going to ask for. Projects that try to encompass the whole company are normally not advised to do. It will take way too long, and they will probably tend to when you finish the complete project, everything has changed. Mm-hmm. So everything that you did is now nonsense. So you need to be very, very specific with the requirements.
Okay.
Yeah. And Rick, let me also add something. And it's interesting. It's interesting what we just did here, because what I just mentioned, it would be for a company that is in a situation of let's say like a paper chaos, because it has happened, So for example, if you come to this company and it's still like managing, let's say, receipts or invoices in paper, or handling emails with those type of files that I was mentioning. I mean, there's going to be different analytic maturity level, this called, or let's say situations where the companies are going to first approach the first 3 steps that I mentioned. But let's say there's a company that already has like some good practices or best practices adopted. So then they would be ready to do what Luis just mentioned, and is to, let's be clear on what are going to be my goals or what are going to be my needs, so I can understand how data analytics can help me, right? Okay. So I think it's as you were mentioning and talking about small and medium companies. Normally, between small and medium companies, there are going to be both situations. So it's good to understand where you are and what are going to be the next few steps that you need to take.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Right. So Luis, say, I am an older company, 10, 15, 20 years old. I've been doing things manually for many, many years, and I hear about you guys and what you do. And I hear about, data analytics and all that good stuff. And of course, me, I just want it. You know what I'm saying? I want to do something different. So when you guys do like your analysis of a company, I mean, are you able to kind of like guide them, to what's going to be most beneficial to them? Or do they really need to, fully understand exactly what they need to have before they engage you?
It would be amazing if companies knew exactly what they need, but that normally, I remember a quote from a very good teacher I had in school that he said that go up to where your eyes can take you. And when you get there, you will notice that you can go way farther. So probably some companies, with the understanding they have from data analytics and this whole environment, they will think about some things that they can do. So they normally, when some companies approaches, they always try to go to the same things, more like reporting style things. But analytics give you way more than reporting. It's just that reporting is the easiest to grasp for most people. Normally what we do is that we go with them, we understand what they need, what they say they need, and then we expand on what they think they need. So I need this report, I need this application or whatever, and then we say, hey, what if we do this? What if we better try to build something that helps you with this, and it completely replaces your existing process and improves it. So we provide guidance on what they can do to improve their operations and to improve their day-to-day jobs.
That's awesome. Yeah, they only know what they know. Sometimes don't even know what question to ask. That's perfect. Ingrid, we've heard a lot of people talking I think I get pitched at least once a week on doing something with artificial intelligence. So does that really align with what you guys are talking about? And if so, I mean, what's the benefit? How does that work? Does it really work, or is it just something, some crazy algorithm somebody throws together?
Yeah, of course it works, and it works amazingly. However, I would not recommend to jump off, on artificial intelligence tools or path or models before you understand what we have taught, like the rest, for example. If you're still a company that is handling documents, on paper, or are not so much digitalized, or not using digital tools or, cloud tools and everything, you're not ready to get there yet. So it's good to understand that there's going to be like, let's say, it's a path to first adopt business intelligence. That is the basic of data analytics, and it's to understand what has happened in the past. So once you have integrated your data sources, once you have your reports and your dashboard and your KPIs controlled in a real-time way, and unified to everyone in the company, that is, in brief, what is business intelligence, then you're ready to go to machine learning models. And machine learning models is going to be just business intelligence plus statistics, right? So once you have business intelligence, some tools, then you're ready to start thinking beyond. So what happens right now is that companies, let's say getting love, with artificial intelligence and robots, and oh my God, that's what I need. But before buying those type of things or implementing, we need to ask if we already have what is required, before. If we have the infrastructure, if we have the architecture, if we have the people that is going to manage that bot or that robot or that model, that AI model. So I think that maybe what you have heard is that sometimes people get, like very enthusiastic about this, but then if they are not able to use it. So it gets like, okay, no, that doesn't work. But it's not that. It's that you didn't do it at the time that you need it. So in general, I think that there are going to be some steps that you need to take before you adopt the AI models or AI tools.
Got it. Anything to add to that?
Regarding that, I want to address the elephant in the room, and that is that artificial intelligence for most companies is just a buzzword.
Okay.
Artificial intelligence can actually be more understandable and more easy to grasp if we think of it as machine learning. And machine learning is just how computers work and how computers learn. And even machine learning is still a buzzword. In layman's terms, machine learning is just statistics plus a lot of computing. And it doesn't work. Yes, statistics have worked for the past 1,000 years. So the only thing is that we have different now is that we have the computing power to do things that previously were impossible to do. So it's just I want to for all people listening in this podcast later, artificial intelligence is just a statistics, nothing more. A statistics with a lot of computing power. Nothing more.
Oh wow! A whole bunch of people are going to be upset with you.
Yeah. But when you go to the nitty gritty and get your hands into the coding, it's just a statistics, man. It's just a statistics. It's just that, you have the power of Google and Amazon and Azure backing your coding. So before, let's say 10 years ago, you didn't have the processing power to do in your computer. With your own hands, what you can do now.
True.
Now you can run one of the most complex type of machine learning algorithms that is called a random forest, for example. Like 5 years ago, I ran a random forest, and it took me 2 days to run one random forest. Now I run 20 in parallel, and it takes 4 minutes.
Wow.
So yeah, now it makes sense. Now it makes sense and it is easier for people for companies, for small companies and medium companies to use these tools to deliver, to have higher, better value for their money. Because those 2 days cost me a lot of money because I was asking Google or Amazon to run some process for me in their cloud, in their servers, and I go ask them to run them for you 2 days. It's very expensive. But now I just ask them for 4 minutes. So it's way cheaper and way more powerful. Wow. So, and it takes 4 minutes and it can take even less. So now I have some algorithms that are working in real time that take under 1 second. So those algorithms can give you very valuable things. For instance, everyone interacts with a very powerful algorithm in their daily life, the recommendation systems. If you watch a YouTube video, if you buy on Amazon, if you listen to Spotify, you are engaging every day with a recommendation system algorithm. That is an artificial intelligence algorithm. And that algorithm, what tells you is that shows you recommendations based on your behavior and your features or your characteristics as a consumer. So everyone interacts with machine learning and artificial intelligence nowadays. So, and for example, the recommendation system, Amazon has published that over 40% of their sales come from recommendation systems. So, and that is an artificial intelligence algorithm. Wow. So it works. Definitely, it works. Wow. Now, do you need a recommendation system? I think most companies do. I think most retailers do. And I think, but there are other applications of machine learning that are very powerful, such as predicting churn of your customers, such as trying to forecast having a more accurate forecast of your sales. This is not just to say, hey, I am going to sell more. It's just so you can handle your resources better because you know how much you're going to sell. And there are several, apart from those, for example, anomaly detection in finance, so you can find accounting errors or even fraud. So there are various applications of artificial intelligence, and those applications are more can be more categorized in predictive analytics, where you try to predict what is going to happen, and prescriptive analytics, when you are giving control of a process to an intelligent agent. So depending on what you need, you might use artificial intelligence in those two categories. Okay.
Wow. One good example. One good example that I would add that we are actually just working right now in these days is the NLP models. Rick, if you have heard of them, and we are just helping recruiting. Yeah, we're helping a recruiting agency to make more efficient their hiring process. Okay. So imagine where you have to handle, let's say, 500 people's hiring processes in a day. So this company has these challenges because it requires, here in Colombia, the labor laws are really complex. Right. So they had to handle a lot of documents, a lot of calls, a lot of steps in the process, and it had a lot of manualities, and they have to print one document, then scan it, and then go to one page, and then download a PDF, and then validate and check that information in all of the company, all of the documents, and one by one, and they were 17 per person, per candidate. And imagine if you have to get 700 people. Exactly, in one day. So it's very complex. So what we did is an AI model, and it's based on NLP, that is natural language processing. And what it does is that anytime the assistant in the area uploads the requirement, for each candidate, the model is going to read all the documents one by one, and then provide all the information in a table for the coordinator. So she just grab it and then upload it in the software. So we are like saving 80% of the time.
Oh my goodness.
And that is with an AI model.
That's efficient.
And I must say that artificial intelligence is able to process over 700 candidates in under 5 seconds.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. So
and by itself, exactly. And by itself, it opens, you can set it up, for example, it opens folders for each of them because they want to handle, the information very, with a good archive structure and everything. Mm-hmm. So you can set it up whatever your process or your area needs.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Amazing. Guys, believe it or not, we're out of time. This is it's gone really. Yeah, exactly.
You're right.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'd love to have you guys back. I know that I had a bunch more questions, and I imagine other people are going to as well. So I certainly want to reach out to you guys maybe in the next couple of months or so and have you guys back. We can continue this conversation if you don't mind.
Oh, sure thing. This was amazing, man. Thank you.
We would be more than glad to. Yeah. Awesome.
Now, to be said, you guys don't have a problem working. I know you guys are in Colombia, but I know you work with companies here in the States as well. And you actually have one of your partners is here at this point. So if someone wanted to reach out to you and had questions or wanted to, maybe even do an exploratory session with you, how do they do that?
Well, you can contact either Luis or myself. I can provide you my link on LinkedIn and Luis as well.
Okay.
So if you guys can contact us there, also our emails. I mean, every of the contact information
with my name, Luis Almanza, as well as Ingrid. And you can visit our website that is www.datavalue.ai. AI as artificial intelligence.
Okay.
.ai, not .com. .ai, and there you can contact us that way.
Directly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And what we'll do is we'll put all that information in the show notes. And hopefully, in case anybody does want to reach out to you, excuse me.
Oh man, really? I hope you get better. I feel you. I have the same.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, thank you guys again for being on the show. And thank you, listeners, for watching another episode or listening. Hope you really enjoyed the episode. Don't forget, if you have any questions or you've had any thoughts on the show or want to reach out to Luis or Ingrid, please feel free to reach out to us. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or you can email us directly. Fill out a form on our website. Would love it if you would take the time to share the show with other folks that might enjoy it. I think this is going to be a lot of value for many business owners out there. Luis, Ingrid, did you guys want to say goodbye or anything before you say goodbye?
Yeah, thank you so much, Rick, for the invitation again. I'm looking forward for the next part.
Awesome.
Yeah, likewise, Rick. Thank you very much for having us, and looking forward to whatever is coming next. This was my first time in a podcast, so cool. Very, very exciting.
Very cool.
And thank you all.
Right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.